Rodney Stotts.
That was me. I just started the recording.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, my name is Rodney Stotts. I'm a licensed falconer in the state of Maryland. I've been a falconer for about going on 13 years now. I got into falconry because I used to work for a nonprofit, and we did a lot of raptor education. All of the birds that
I think we might have lost Rodney. Is everybody else losing audio?
Yep, can't hear him.
All right, I will shoot him a text and, oh, I think he's back, but he's on mute. You are on mute, Rodney. We lost you for a second.
there we go.
All right.
All right, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, actually, is it on here? No. Yeah, so I became a falconer when I told everyone that I wanted to work with birds of prey that were not injured so that I can work with young people before they became injured, because the program that we were running were only for adjudicated youth. And so they told me I had to become a falconer. And when I told them that that's what I was going to do, a lot of people laughed, and wasn't laughing at the fact that that's what I wanted to do. They were laughing because they never heard of a black falconer before. So I went through a lot of unnecessary changes just trying to get sponsored. I had one guy tell me, black people don't fly birds, y'all eat them. These aren't chickens, these are hawks and falcons. So I ended up, didn't let that deter me or anything. Got my license, built my aviary, all of this within a 3-week period, and went trapping from there. And the passion just started. I'm an animal junkie. I've never really been a people person. So I've always loved animals, always had some sort of animals around me, dogs and horses and birds. And I just love animals and the healing that they can bring to you. We all go through things every day. And I'm quite sure that some of you people may have a dog or something, and you walk in the house and that dog just jumps up in your lap and sits there and takes all your worries away and makes you feel better, changes your, just everything about it. And that's the same thing that falconry does for me. I started working with young people, older people, anyone that really wants to learn. I teach them if they want to become a falconer. There are certain classes that you can teach so that people don't go out and then start trying to trap these birds and end up injuring the bird or killing the bird. And then you can get in a lot of trouble because they're all federally protected. So I teach certain things about how you can actually work with the bird, have the bird fly to you at least. You know, we won't take them out hunting. In the wintertime, I take groups out because I have 4 of these birds. So we'll take them out and toss them up and go on a hunt and come back. And the most successful hunt is when you always get your bird back. So whether they catch anything or not, doesn't really matter. You have a lot of people that get into falconry because they love the hunt. That's not why I got into it. I got into it because of the healing that it was bringing to me, losing so many family members in a short period of time, not really having another outlet. And my animals, my birds, were the thing that always comforted me. So all of my birds are actually named after people who I've loved that has passed on. This particular bird here is a Sonoran Harris hawk. Her name is Agnes. She's actually named after the lady Agnes Nixon, who used to write the stories, One Life to Live, All My Children. She actually bought this bird for me about 8 years ago. So she's 10 years old now. And in the next 2 years, I'll stop flying her and put her in a breeding program. You guys have any questions so far?
Yeah, we did have one question. The question was, what do you do with what the hawk catches?
Actually, when you take your hawk out, because you get all of your food through NIH, so there's no poisons or contaminants, the time when you take your bird out hunting is when you'll end up having to worry about the animals, what they've eaten. So usually once they make a kill, I'll give them a little piece as a reward, or I'll have another piece of prey item as a reward. and I'll take it home for at least 24 hours. After that 24 hours, then I'll be able to feed it to my birds. Some people allow their birds to eat right then and there. If the animal had any type of diseases or anything, usually within that 24-hour period after it passes, it'll die out. So your bird won't get sick when you let them eat the prey items outside. And I have a few other birds that don't go on that particular hunt. I'll bring it back in and share with all of the other birds. So no birds are left out just because they didn't go out on that hunt that day. One of the best things about Harris hawks they are the most social raptor that you'll find. They actually hunt in packs. They're called the wolf pack of the sky because they hunt together. So you can take 3, 4, 5 of these birds out at a time. Everyone release the birds. The birds will fly up in a tree, turn around, look back at you, start shaking their tail feathers, saying, let's go. So now they want to go out on the hunt. And as long as we stay as a group, the birds will follow us everywhere that we go. So we'll be on the bottom of trees and bushes and everything and try to chase game out. Once the game is flushed, you'll hit a whistle, yell, ho, 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 and you'll see all of those hawks and take off after whatever is moving. The thing about them, they'll hunt together just like a wolf pack. So they'll get on each corner basically to make sure the prey item has nowhere to go. And they'll go in out, they'll send one bird in through the bushes, through the sticker briars or whatever to chase the prey item out. And then they'll all share in that kill at the end. But usually the largest female gets the choice pieces. I saw a question, I couldn't read it.
Yeah, the question was, what type of prey do you go after?
Well, technically, you usually will hunt rabbits, squirrels, voles, small mammals, things of that nature when you take them out. However, when you have a group of Harris hawks, they may go after something larger. So they may go after ducks, geese, guinea hen, things of that nature. They'll go after a little larger prey because it's so many of them working together. They'll take down larger prey. Now, if you're out with just a Harris hawk, one bird, and you see a red tail or something out, you may want to call your bird down. Red tails are basically the pit bull of birds. They will crash through windows, trees, everything to go after their prey item. They do hunt other raptors. So when they're out, technically they are apex predators because nothing really hunts a hawk. However, red-tailed hawk. However, red-tailed hawks pretty much will hunt and eat every other raptor that's out there. So when you take your birds out, you want to make sure where you're going. If there are a lot of, if you have 3 or 4 Harris hawks up, you don't have to worry. The red tail won't even come after them. You won't bother them at all. But when you have just one, you want to be careful. So a lot of falconers, especially the first 2 years, they'll only fly red tails and red shoulders. Well, red tails. Red shoulders are a little smaller. They chase more birds than red tails will. So you want to go out with a red tail if you want to chase land animals. You want a falcon if you're going out to actually chase birds, and you want a nice enough area because you're going to have to run behind the birds. They do not bring the food back to you. So they're not retrievers. Once they land on the food, you have to get to that bird before he eats enough and takes off. Because if he takes off in a tree, you have to wait for a while for him to come back down to you. So you want to, during training, as you're feeding your bird, you want to walk up beside him and stand beside him, be able to clamp something on his chest where you can weight him down so he can't fly off. And then that way you can go ahead and sometime if you decide you want to let him have whatever it was that they caught, then you can just sit there and let the bird eat. Then you'll put them up for about at least 5 or 6 days because they don't eat every day. In the wintertime, they eat more just to stay warmer because they lose body fat. In the summertime, you may feed her 5 or 6 mice every 4, 5, 6 days, and she's fine. I saw a question again. I couldn't.
Yeah, the question was, do you have one type of hawk or do you have multiple species?
Well, actually now I just have Harris hawks. I released my red-tailed hawk a couple months ago, about a month and a half ago. I have a Eurasian eagle owl. I have, these are education birds that I use. I have a Eurasian eagle owl. I have an injured red tail. I have a 30-year-old Harris hawk that was in a breeding program and a kestrel. So I have a few different species. It's just the ones that I actually hunt with are my Harris hawks and the birds that I trap every year. Being a falconer, you trap juveniles only. So if you catch an adult, you'll instantly let that bird go. 80 to 90% of those juveniles won't make it through their first winter. So a lot of the times when you're riding down, say, BW Parkway or something, you see all of those birds that's been hit, usually they're juveniles. Once they fledge away from the nest and the parents aren't taking care of them anymore, they have to find their own food. So a lot of them nest along the sides of the highway because they'll see an animal get run over, a squirrel or something, and they think it's an easy meal. They'll fly down and they end up getting hit themselves. So that's a lot of, then you have a few people who actually may see the bird on the side of the road and literally run the bird over. Yeah, I know, Booby.
How long do you keep them? It says, how long do you keep them before releasing them?
Well, usually we trap, like now, trapping season used to start September the 10th when the feds were actually involved with the state doing falconry. So technically you can trap up in all year long. However, you really won't catch anything until the wintertime because that's when they're hungry and they'll go down to your trap. But I keep the bird until spring of the next year and then release that bird. Now that bird has a 90% chance of survival, reproducing, and you'll keep the population going. So if you take an adult from the wild, you're taking something that can breed. So you don't want to do that. You want to help the ones that won't make it to adulthood, basically make it so that the population doesn't start to decline or anything like that.
And one more question is, how do you catch a hawk?
Well, there's a few different ways you'll build. I use what's called a balsatry trap. It basically looks like a mailbox and it has what's called a prey protector cage on the inside. So whatever mice, gerbil, or whatever you're using as bait, you don't want it to be injured either. So you'll put what's called a prey protector cage inside of your balsatry trap. And what you'll do is as you're riding, you may look up and you'll see a hawk in a tree. You'll pull over, slow down, set the trap down, because if you stop, usually the bird will just take off. So you want to slow down to a crawl, set the trap down, and then pull away from it about 20, 30 yards. And then you'll watch them. If the bird is hungry enough, they'll fly down and land on your trap. And when they land on the trap, there are hoops all around the top of it. So as they're walking around on it, trying to figure out how they can get to that prey item, they're actually catching their feet up in the hoops. So you'll wait for them to do, basically it's a pancake flap. They'll just fall flat back over on their back and look up at the sky. You know your bird is trapped, you go get them. If it's an adult, like I said, you wanna just check them out, make sure everything's okay with them and release them. If it's a juvenile and it's what you were looking for, you would take it home. The first thing you wanna do is weigh the bird, because whatever the weight is, you have to take about 10 to 15% of that bird's body weight off before that bird starts to really respond to you the way you want it to. So doing that, you have to still feed them during that time, but you have to make them lose weight. So it's a process that you'll go through of the bird eating a certain amount, getting them to sit on the glove, because they're naturally afraid of us. So they're not gonna just sit on your hand, they'll bait and jump around. So you have to develop that trust with them. So once you do, you'll get them to start bending down, eating off the glove. Then once you get them to do that, you want them to hop to the glove. So you'll set them on a perch, you'll step 2 steps away and just have the bird basically jump over to your hand. Once they do that, you want to step 10 steps away and keep getting further and further. You'll have your bird on what's called a creance cord, and it's about 100 feet long. So once you have that bird, you can walk the length of a football field, 100 yards, I'm sorry. So if you walk the length of a football field and you call for your bird and it takes off and comes to you, you can send it back to that perch. You call for it again and it comes back to you. Basically, you know it's time. You can take them off that creance cord. That's your bird for the winter. Go hunt your bird. Stand up. One of the best things about them also, though, there's a lot of things that people think that when they're setting, they're digging their talents into you. Well, right now she's setting on my knee, on my leg, and they don't dig into you because they'll end up breaking their talents. However, If that bird doesn't trust you, it will. I saw another question come up.
Yeah, so the first question was, why is the bird opening its mouth so much like it's yawning?
Well, I can give you a long, drawn out answer that if I always explain to people, when someone starts to try to tell you why every single thing that something does, then they really don't know what they're talking about. The bird does that sometime when they're coughing up a casting. And so she ate early this morning, so she may be about to cough up a casting, or that's just something that they do. The same way like we may sit, cross our legs and move, it's just something that they do. So it's not, well, they do this when they are this. And if anyone starts doing that, please walk away. That person really doesn't have any, we can't tell you what every single action that the animal make while they're doing it. They're doing it because they just, at that moment, that's what they felt like doing.
All right, and the other question was, is there a way to tell the difference between fully wild birds or birds that were once used for falconry once they're in the wild?
Well, technically, all of them are still wild birds. That's the one thing everyone must remember. Even her, even though she's tamed, she's still a wild bird. When you take them out and you hunt them, if you catch a bird and you use it for falconry, the last time that you take that bird out to hunt, you'll cut the anklets and jesses and stuff off the bird. When the bird makes it a kill, you'll go get in your car and leave it. Because over the last 2 or 3 months, it's been used to you coming, getting them and everything. Now you're gone. So the bird then, after he finishes eating, will fly up in the tree. That's now a wild bird again. They'll never fly back to you. If you see that bird 2 weeks later, that bird should never fly back to you. It's not you're converting them from one thing to another. What you're doing with that bird is asking that bird to allow you to help them on a hunt. So you guys build a partnership. If you ever take that bird out hunting and it makes kills and you don't reward it, the next time you take your bird out, you're going to lose that bird. It's going to fly off. So that's pretty much what you'd end up doing with them. So there's never it's now a tame bird. It's now a not so much wild falconry bird. It's always going to be that. It's the relationship that you build with it. And by you taking it hunting during that time, you're not imprinting yourself on the bird. So you're never making the bird dependent on people to eat. Hush, to eat. So you don't have to worry about that part. Oh man, dogs in there going crazy. They want to go outside. Were there any other questions? Anything anyone would like to know? Hey, Ed, come in.
I think that's it for questions right now, but if you want to tell us a little bit more of your life as falconry, how that's changed you, what you're doing with it, or just talk more about falconry in general, that'd be great.
Oh, no, definitely. Well, right now, I've started a program called Rodney's Raptors. I used to work with the Earth Conservation Corps, which is a nonprofit up in DC. When the pandemic and everything started, I had started Rodney's Raptors a while back because we were only helping adjudicated youth. So if you came and you had a son, nephew, brother, sister, aunt, anyone that wanted to learn, we had to tell them you had to go get locked up because we only help people that's been adjudicated, which to me was the dumbest thing in the world. So I started Rodney's Raptors so that I could teach anyone who wanted to learn. Doesn't matter how old you are, how young, your race, your age, sexuality, none of that matters. The bird only cares if you're going to take care of me. Do you love me? That's all that bird cares about. So it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, anything like that. So I started Rodney's Raptors to be able to do that. I was at Laurel. I had a facility up in Laurel and I had horses there. Well, about 4 years ago, DC government came up and said that my horses were illegal for being there and that I had 60 days to get rid of them or I'll be in violation of my lease. I ended up finding a home within that time and bought a house down in Charlotte Courthouse, Virginia. So I have 7 acres. So I started a sanctuary here. It's actually named after my mom. It's called Dippy's Dream. So I'm in the process of clearing 3 more acres of land, putting up sheds and cabins and stuff so people can come down, spend the weekend, ride horses, fly birds, garden, feed the chickens, goats, and things of that nature. So I started Rodney's Raptors for that. So that's where we are down here in Charlotte Courthouse. For me, falconry changed me. I used to be, just yesterday, actually, my uncle was shot. He was the guy that was on the news, the 73-year-old man that was shot at the bank. And I was sitting there, we were talking earlier, and I was telling someone that that young man that did that, if he had a program, something to show him a better way, then maybe none of this stuff would have happened. So a lot of the things with me, like I said, losing so many people in a short period of time, the animals, my birds, falconry, kept me grounded, kept me from going out doing some things that I shouldn't have done. I'd say my younger years, I was one of those street people who really believed hustling was a way of life, and everything that went along with it, the guns, the violence, the nonsense. I was a person that I wasn't proud of. I used to tell everyone my mom was always proud of me. She wasn't always proud of what I was doing. Before she left here, I got to make her proud of what I was doing. So to see the effects on the people around me and them seeing me change from who I used to be and carrying guns and that fake thug lifestyle nonsense to who I am today, it was just, I can't let those people down. So I can never go backwards to who I used to be. So falconry for me has just opened up everything. I mean, I can go in any neighborhood, any community, anywhere, get the strangest looks, pull this bird out, and now everyone will come and whatever your agenda is, you now have an audience that you can talk to. Because a lot of the young people that I go to the DC jails and youth facilities and things of that nature, when you walk out on stage and you're talking, they'll sit in there, oh, that's just another guy here talking. And then you blow a whistle and a hawk flies from the back of the room and lands on your hand. Excuse me. You have everyone's attention. I'm sorry, I saw your question pop up. I couldn't see it.
The question says, this program is incredible. Are there any programs around like this, or is this specific to here in Baltimore? And I think she thinks your program might be in Baltimore, but yeah, are there any other programs that are doing things similar to what you're doing?
Kind of. Bird Conservation Corps, the group that I used to work for, they have injured, non-releasable birds. So they can't fly them. They will come in and just sit and talk. You can see a bird. The public can't touch them, stuff like that. With my falconry birds, I can put a bird on your hand and let you get that experience of sitting there looking eye to eye with that hawk. And, you know, everyone tells you, don't look them in the eye, they're going to attack you and all these other crazy things. However, no, I mean, so just that, doing exactly what I'm doing, no, I don't know of anyone that does that. I've never heard of anyone else that actually allows the people to go out on a hunt with them or handle one of their birds out on a hunt and or take pictures holding the bird and things. I've never seen anyone else do it. I'm quite sure there's someone else that does something similar, and I don't think they're up in the DMV area. Sometime I'm still up in Laurel, so there are chances to come out to that particular facility called Wings Over America, and it's actually on the grounds of the old Oak Hill Youth Detention Center off of 198 in Laurel. So I still come out there at least once or twice a week, do programs, do shows and stuff like that, take people out on a hunt. And one of the things that I'm in the process of doing is because falconry originated on horseback. The people would ride on the horse and they would have their eagle on their glove. And once they flushed out game, they would let the bird go and it will go after the prey items. Well, hawks usually follow you. You will let a hawk go and walk and that bird will follow you around. So I have horses. So now I'm actually training my bird to fly to me on horseback so that I can now ride the horse when it stops and that thunderous noise, everything starts to run. I can now call for my bird and have the bird to go down and make a kill that way.
All right, the next question was, we know that there's a lot of regulation around other types of hunting. What kind of regulations exist around hunting with hawks?
Well, you have to go through the entire process as if you were hunting with a gun or anything else. So I had to go and get a hunting license. I had to do all of the same things. I have to take the same courses or whatever, pass the same tests. It's the same thing, even though you're using a bird. I didn't quite understand that part when I told me all of that. However, there's the fact of hunting. So whether you have a crossbow, bird, dog, whatever, you have to get that license because there are a lot of things as far as, like I said, regulations on how you can go about. You can't set carrots and stuff out to draw a rabbit in to let your bird go. That's not giving that animal a fair chance. So there are the same regulations that you would have to follow if you were deer hunting or anything else. It's the exact same thing that you'll have to do with the birds. This is something. I don't know what this is. Okay. He asks, you want to talk? You want to tell them about you? Say, my name is Agnes Stotts. Say, I'm 10 years old. Say, I'm a Sonoran Harris Hawk, so I'm one of the larger Harris Hawks. We're desert birds. Say, we hunt in packs. Say, if you're ever out in the desert, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and you see us, you'll usually see one female and two males. In captivity, they're monogamous. In the wild, they're not. You'll see a female and you'll see two males and you'll think one's maybe the son. That female in the wild breeds with both of them. So I guess to ensure that they're going to have fertile eggs and that they'll be fertilized, but she'll end up breeding with both of them. In the desert, there are no trees, so they're cactuses. So a lot of the Harris Hawks are naturally afraid of dogs. So that's one of the things, if you hunt with your bird and a dog, you have to get that bird used to being around a dog because they have a natural fear because of the dingoes. So you'll take them out, you'll bond them together, and once you get everything paired up and go out on your hunt, believe me, it'll change your life. Just sitting there holding the bird or having it fly to you. The first time a bird flew to me, it was a Harris Hawk. I have another one named Harriet, who's actually in a breeding program right now. She was the first bird to actually fly to me. There's no drug, there's no anything that can give you that high, that feeling of knowing that this bird just flew to you and landed on you. It just takes you away. I don't care what's going on in your life, what's happening at that moment. When that bird flies to you and lands on your hand, it's definitely going to change something inside of you. It did for me, for sure.
We did have one more question. What made you focus on primarily Harris Hawks?
The thing about Harris Hawks is because they're so social, you can take 5, 6, 7 people. I worked with a reentry program before down in Pennsylvania. And when the family member comes home, you've been gone for a while and it's hard to reconnect sometimes. So you have Harris Hawks. I can take the father or the mom, whoever it was that came home, the son, and take the parents out, take the family out. And these 4 or 5 birds will hunt together. So they won't fight each other in the air. They won't try to kill each other. Red tails, red shoulders, Cooper, sharp shin, swan, all of them will attack each other when it comes down to food. So the Harris Hawks are so social, they hunt together. Because there are no trees, they had to learn, and the jackrabbits are so big where they are, they had to learn to hunt together. So you can take these birds out 3, 4, 5 at a time, take 10 people out and everyone has a bird, and watch or couple them up and everyone's paying attention to a particular bird. If you take 7, 8 people out and you have one bird, it's really not fun for everyone. So Harris Hawks are just more social. They love to be around the other ones and they'll hunt together. You'll watch them and pretty much learn so much just coping skills, patience. Working with them will just make you, it forces you to change who you was to who you know you were supposed to be. If that makes any sense to some people.
We just got a heart emoji in response to your choice. But I have a question for you.
Sure.
What is your favorite moment of falconry over the years? I know it's hard to pick one, but if you had to pick one that you're thinking of fondly right now.
Was I got to take out, well, I got to do two Make-A-Wish one was for a little girl, 8 years old, and one was for a little boy named Connor, who was 3 years old. And Make-A-Wish reached out to me about a year ago. The little girl wanted a raptor experience. She didn't want anything else. She just loved birds. And when they called me, I just started crying because I'd never seen anyone like me, just an average Joe. I've always seen athletes and owners of stadiums and, all of these people who can fly you out and do all these things. Well, I couldn't do all of those things. I couldn't do any of those things. However, I had something that the people wanted to witness and see. And from what they were explaining to me is when they do the wish, that it's kind of getting close to that time that they're not expecting them to be around too much longer. So to be able to do those, Make-A-Wish, there's nothing else in falconry that in my life, I believe, that can touch the feeling that gave me to be able to do that for the little boy and the little girl and the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So that to me is the best thing that's ever happened to me in falconry. Say hi. Can you wave at him? Wave. Stand up.
All right. Well, that is amazing. Is there anything else that you want to talk with us about tonight?
Sure. My sanctuary down here in Virginia, it will more than likely be open to the public in February. Like I said, I have another 2.5 to 3 acres to finish clearing up and everything. And I would love for people to come down, and it's all donation based. There's no set prices for anything. Because you can't afford something doesn't mean you don't deserve it. You can get up every morning, go feed the homeless, walk kids to school, read to the elderly, volunteer, and because you can't afford to have a $500 falconry experience or learn to ride a horse or something like that you shouldn't have it. I don't believe in that. I believe that, I don't have anything. I've grown up poor, didn't have, so I know what it is not to have something. And to be able to give something back, and doesn't matter how much it is that the person has, that to me is a blessing. And so I try to share those blessings as much as possible.
We did have one question that I think I answered, but I'd like your input to make sure I did it right.
Sure.
Some of the folks asked, how do you donate to your project? And I just gave a link over to rodneysraptors.webs.com.
Yeah, just Rodney's Raptors, and it'll come up. There's a donate button on the front page. I have a young lady who tries to help me keep it up because I try to tell everyone it's not a mom and pop operation. It's just a pop. There's no mom. So everything I have to do as far as booking and social media and all that stuff. So I finally got one of the young ladies who came to a show actually volunteered to help me with the web page and keep it up and post the stuff for me and things of that nature. And if you go on Rodney's Raptors, any and everything is greatly appreciated, always. And like I said, I would love for any of you guys that's viewing today to come out. I'll actually connect with you guys and actually bring one of the birds down there to your facility over the next month and a half or so before the end of this year. You guys let me know a good day to bring a bird down. I'll come down, bring one of the birds down and do a hawk count with you guys.
All right, yeah, that could be really cool if we have some raptors out at a little hawk count that we're doing. We had one of the folks comment that what you are doing and is so beautiful and inspiring.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, one of the things that key with what I do, we try to explain to people, you die twice. Once when you physically leave here, and the last time that someone mentions your name. So everything about Rodney's Raptors and is all of the animals are named after loved ones. And this year alone, I finally got to start naming some of my Raptors after people that are still here to give them their flowers now. I had a thoroughbred horse. She's all white with the salt and pepper hair. And so I named her Dippy after my mother. And everyone asked me, why did I name her that? And I told them because my mom rode my back for 40 plus years before she passed away. So now I get to ride on her back. And so things that whenever I was feeling alone or hurting and missing these people, your animal that's named after them is there. And I explain to people, when someone passes, the first thing we always say is they're up there looking down on us. Okay, well, where's the bird? Up there, doing what? Looking down on you. So if that bird is named after, like this bird, Agnes Nixon was like a mother to me. So every time I get to fly this bird, she's with me. So in a sense, it's like you're never alone again. You're never without those people. And if you listen with your heart, close your ears, close your eyes, and just listen with your heart, you can hear everything that that bird is telling you from the person who they're named after. And you're not hearing what you think you want to hear. You would hear exactly what they would be telling you at that moment if they were standing in front of you.
All right, great. Well, if we don't have any other questions, and if there's nothing more that you want to chat with us about, unless there's something else you want to chat with us about.
I just would like to say thank you guys for having me, for giving me the opportunity to present with you guys and everything. And like I said, I would love to come down, even if I don't have to bring a bird, just come and do a hawk walk with you guys, or hawk counting, or if you guys would like to have a bird there where you can actually get a chance to hold them and things of that nature, get a picture with them and stuff, I'll bring a bird down. And I just would like to say thank you guys, because it really means a lot to be able to share this message with everyone and get people more involved. My plan is to educate, encourage, and excite. If I can educate you, encourage you, and get you excited about nature, then I feel like my purpose is being served.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much. Do we have any final questions for Rodney?
Good.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much for your presentation, Rodney. I just want to remind everybody that the reason we are here today is because of the wonderful forest called Fairwood Forest that we work with at Baltimore Green Space. And we do want to make sure that you all remember that this is an open invitation to come out to Fairwood. For the next couple of weeks, there's going to be a hawk scavenger hunt where you can learn all about the different species of hawks that we have here in Maryland. And if you just want to come out and visit the forest, there's a nice trail. I just measured it the other day, and I believe it is just about a mile. And yeah, it's a really great, beautiful place right in the middle of Baltimore City. So thank you everybody so much for coming. One last chance for any questions before we go, and then I think we can call it a day.
Well, again, thank you guys. I'll say bye-bye. Come here, say bye-bye. Wave bye-bye, wave one way. There you go, one way. There you go, one way. There you go, wave bye-bye.
All right, thanks everybody for being here. And yeah, we will plan for the next time to have Rodney in person. COVID dependent, obviously, depending on how that all works out. And yeah, thank you all so much for coming. Have a great rest of your night, everybody.
Thank you guys.